there's ongoing issues about what Israel is doing in Gaza, obviously. And there's a lot of pressure now on Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, because he's essentially announced, and here's The Guardian, an assault on Rafah, which is the remaining conurbation in Gaza in the south. And Lord Cameron our Foreign Secretary, has spoken of the growing international concern and how the fighting must pause immediately.
We are very concerned about what is happening in Rafah because, let's be clear, the people there, many of them have moved 4, 5, 6 times before getting there. And it really, we think, is impossible to see how you can fight a war amongst these people. There's nowhere for them to go. They can't go south into Egypt. They can't go north and back to their homes because many have been destroyed. So we are very concerned about the situation, and we want Israel to stop and think very seriously before it takes any further action.
Nelofer.
Accusations from not only Lord Cameron here in the United Kingdom, Joe Biden has told Netanyahu that Israel must not launch airstrikes in the Rafah region. And we've got other folk, Joseph Borrell from the EU Foreign Policy Chief, saying that Benjamin Netanyahu will listen to no one.
James?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Netanyahu's lost the plot completely on this. Like, I think, whatever you thought about the first couple of issues, and it's an extremely complicated part of the world, what's happened since is just awful. It tantamount to kind of war crimes in my mind. You can't. This should have stopped a long time ago now, and there should have been a process of trying to form some rebuilding or deal with it through a political matter. You're just literally forcing people into a corner and just killing more and more. And I think if any more innocent children die and nobody else steps in, no other conflict on earth would people have remained silent as long as they have.
There is some good news. I mean, yes, the death toll has, as of yesterday, reached 28,340 Palestinians killed. Some good news from the region. Some hostages have been released, are getting medical treatment in Israel. So we have had some good news come out of this. The point of the airstrikes is essentially what the Israelis are saying is we want to, quote, allow the forces to cut off contact and hit the Hamas terrorists in the area. So they're saying it's a shock and awe tactic.
Can you justify shock and awe when you've got kids?
This is how they are justifying it. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu isn't listening to anyone.
Do you think he's right to use those tactics?
I think he's allowed to use these tactics. I think if he's fighting for every Israeli person's... What I'm confused by is why we are concentrating on bombing Gaza rather than freeing the hostages. And I feel from my heart and soul for every person whose family members in Israel are still caught up in this, because no one is winning here. No one is winning.
I think it's got so out of hand. Like, I think if you everyone at the start was, behind Israel. Now I think everybody is politely trying to look the other way, hoping this is going to go away.
This is what Lord Cameron's getting up on. I think Lord Cameron is...
I'm just asking for your view, that's all.
Yes, certainly. I think it's...
You think it's a balanced reaction to the taking of hostages?
I do not think it's a balanced reaction. 28,340
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Dead.
OK, so you agree with James?
Of course I agree with James.
Right.
But it doesn't mean... It's really complicated here that we don't end up in a situation where James and I sit on one side and somebody else sits on another side. That's how these debates always go.
No, it's our job just to find out what you think. Yeah.
My point is simple. Yeah. If some people have been released and their lives have been saved, Israeli or not, we have to celebrate that.
Well, of course. And God, the hostages need to come out. It's just that the story today is more about the fact that Israel is going to go into Rafah, which is the last big
airstrike
city area, and you just, I suppose, worry about civilians.
The problem is you ask people to retreat and move. There's nowhere else to go, and that's the point of it. Israelis warned people, and then they bombed where they were going. They've now forced them into one last area.
If you're looking at this from a point of view of just purely Israel's security, will this make Israel more secure in 20, 30, 40 years' time? I don't know, because the Hamas they can kill them all. They've all got younger brothers.
The 7th of October was a failure of the Israeli state to protect their citizens.
OK, yeah, yeah.